The stream appears to be live.
Good day, Internet.
Hey,
Hello, Internet.
What's happening, Internet?
What up?
Howdy doody, Internet.
It feels like it was a solid week ago since we were all here together.
Yeah.
Because it was.
How's everybody's week been?
Oh man,
Wet.
it's been great.
Wet.
It's been great.
Very wet.
Wet and wild.
That's what people love to hear us talk about.
I know. Well, you know what? What I did is because there was a fish or a duck pond I had to what do they call it? Get rid of. I ordered one of those cheap pool sump pumps off Amazon. Unfortunately, by the time it arrived, the pond already disappeared. So I was like,
Pool, pond.
How are the ducks?
no ducks. You just call it a duck pond because that's what it looks
okay.
like.
Right. The ducks, if
Yeah.
they ever were there, have moved on somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, Allison, I'm looking behind you and I see the gold 20. Is that because of your 20 years in podcasting?
It is. Apparently, those are going to be up forever because they didn't deflate after the 20th anniversary in May.
Oh, are they set
yes,
on a timer?
I do have the longest running Apple-centric podcast.
That's amazing.
Oh, you know
Congrats.
what? What if you did the two and
That's
then you
that's a long road.
made the zero like an apple pie?
Why? Yeah, it's. I
I
didn't
think
have the
Roger's
first
going for
one.
apple.
Yeah,
I think Roger's hungry.
but an apple pie. I
likes
know.
pie.
I know. Tom is
It's like, Allison, maybe the zero can become an
apple pie. It's
Yeah.
a pie.
Or a
Yeah.
pizza.
Pizza
Yeah.
pie
Or
with
just,
apple
you know,
topping
some
and
sort of
apple
thing.
pizza
Yeah.
with apple pizza with goat cheese.
Pineapple apple pen. Oh my gosh.
I
Throwback.
I haven't eaten a pie very recently, but I will say, and I said this on Daily Tech News Show yesterday, that my pressure cooker is the best thing that has ever happened to my kitchen.
Really?
I am telling you all.
Instapot?
It's not an Instapot. It's a pressure cooker. It's a rice cooker.
It's a rice cooker
rice
that is a
cooker.
pressure cooker.
It's a pressure cooker, so you can do
So
a
it's
lot of
really
things
just a
in
pressure
there
cooker.
besides rice. Like if you're like, I don't really.
But they
care about
market it
rice
as a
that
rice
much.
cooker. Yeah.
But
Very
see,
much
now-
marketed as a rice cooker. It is just a delight.
right?
Who makes it?
Right? Suddenly you're
Cuckoo.
Cool.
It's a Korean company.
cuckoo for rice.
Yeah, it was named by Frank Sinatra.
Cool.
I wouldn't trust an American company. Make my
What,
rice.
what American company?
make it a
makes-
rice
Did you
cooker.
see my Discord
Not for
message?
rice. No, it's I'm just
No, I didn't.
I love
I thought that was old.
love
Actually, I did see it, but
I love the
I'll be honest.
pressure
I'll take a
cooker.
look.
I've always wondered, like Uncle Ben doesn't do a branded rice cooker because that would totally be. Like,
Oh.
Uncle Ben is like rice
it's
in a
hard-boiled
box.
rice, but like,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
you
you-
could. I mean, whether or not.
In a pinch. Yeah. You know,
I mean, it's no
rice
San
is rice.
Francisco treat.
But I will, I
Rice
mean,
and
I
rice.
will just, to everybody who's like, do I want to have a pressure cooker? The answer is yes.
So we have a rice cooker. What do you make in your pressure cooker marketed as a rice cooker? What do you make
So
that's in
I
rice?
do like couscous, hard-boiled
Ooh.
eggs,
Oh.
black beans, lentils.
Can you do that in any rice cooker? Or is it this rice cooker?
No, you can, I think basically any rice cooker is a
Yeah.
pressure cooker.
No,
most
no,
part?
not the older
No.
ones weren't. But really, what the pressure cooker does is shave time off, right? Because you're using both pressure and heat to cook.
Yeah.
Because
Just
if you
like an
increase the
Instapot.
pressure, the heat increases.
It just,
and also-
I don't know. It just, I feel like it
Yeah.
makes everything, you know. For
Although you have to be-
example, if I was like, am I going to do like a lentil dish tonight? I'd be like, it's going to be so much cleanup and so much stovetop. And, you know, with a rice cooker, it's like, bup, bup, bup. Okay, perfect.
So how does that differ from an Instapot? Because it sounds like it's the exact
An
same.
Instapot
I think
is
it's
also
very
pressure
similar.
cooker. I mean, Instapot is a pressure cooker, but it's has a lot more kind of push button functions. The only thing I noticed with the Instapot, because I have a rice cooker and an Instapot, is that the Instapot rice always tends to be a little gummier,
36.
like a little because it doesn't release as much moisture.
So, Joe, we're live on Patreon now. It was
I'm
the
reading
stream
here
key was
that
wrong.
rice cookers aren't traditionally pressure cookers. They use steam.
Yes,
Okay.
but most pressure cookers use
This one
steam
does
in order
use
to
steam,
cook.
but it's also a pressure cooker for
Yeah.
sure. my particular model. I'm just saying, everybody, get
I was
yourself.
really happy
Yes.
with mine.
Get yourself
Remember when you
a
went from
pressure
you could just
cooker.
boil rice to like
I know,
you need
I know.
have a good show, everybody.
Bye, Joe.
Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Thursday, October 16th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Studio 7 in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
And from the Podfeed Podcast Empire, I'm Allison Sheridan.
Drawing the top tech stories from Cleveland, I'm Len Peralta.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
We got a full house.
This weekly look at the news of technology is made possible by you. Thanks to every single one of you, including Michelle Sergiu, Kirk Stephenson, and Miranda Janelle.
Yay! And welcome one and all to DTNS Live, the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all understand it a little bit better as we go through it together. Allison Sheridan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I got to say, I'm always excited to see all of you, but I hardly ever get to talk to Robb anymore. Used to talk to him all the time when there was always an SMR podcast to tell them what they did wrong. But now that they haven't done one in such a long time, I don't know what to
Yeah,
yell
what's
at
up
them
with that,
for.
Rob?
So, believe it or not, we recorded one like 2 weeks ago. I just need to put it up. So I need to put it up. I don't know if I'm going to put that one up. I might, if we get back into doing them regular, we'll start off with another one because this was really just Chris Rod and I kind of catching up.
Oh,
We all wanna
I
hear
think we'd
that
all
too,
love to
though.
hear it.
Yeah.
My favorite thing was I got a message from Patreon saying I could get 50% off a subscription to SMR podcast.
No.
Okay.
I could have. You got to talk to Chris on that. I think it should be not be there any longer. It's been we haven't really posted this year, so
Yeah.
I mean, I
But
think
I miss you.
it's a good reminder, to everybody out there that making podcasts is,
Hard work.
time consuming and fun, but also time consuming. So,
Whenever
Yeah,
I
feel
start-
sorry
they
for
come
us.
and go.
Whenever I start bragging about how long my show has been going consistently, I just picture Tom saying, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, but you've done the same show the whole time.
Yeah.
I have not. So you got me there.
Yeah,
that's
I
true,
think you're a
that's
winner
true.
on this one, Allison. Well, listen, everybody, if you are watching or listening live, you can name our episode. Head on over to dtns.showbot.tv to submit titles and vote on them throughout the show. We'll check back in on the votes at the end of the show and choose a winner. And a reminder that we prepared a very fun game exclusively for our patrons after we pick show titles. Hope you brought your Microsoft knowledge. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say.
challenge.
Let's kick it off with a few stories that caught our eye today.
Microsoft is adding more Copilot functions to Windows 11. This may or may not be on the quiz, without you needing to have a Copilot Plus PC. So this is coming to everybody with Windows 11. Copilot Voice lets you speak to the computer by using the phrase, "Hey, Copilot." Copilot Vision can look at what's on your screen and answer questions about it. And in Preview, which means you have to sign up for the Insider program to get it, Copilot Actions can launch an isolated version of your desktop and then work as an agent to take actions like edit a folder of photos, stuff like that.
Copilot Plus without a Copilot Plus PC is interesting, although I think it was inevitable because
Oh, yes.
just don't upgrade their PCs like they used to.
Yeah, and Copilot Plus PCs can still do stuff because they have that local power that this can't. But this is Microsoft saying, you all want to talk to your computer, right? You just want to speak at it and have it do things like Scotty in Star Trek. We're going to make that happen.
Well, Samsung has reportedly canceled the Galaxy S26 Edge and ended production of the S25 Edge after poor sales of the ultra-thin model. Korean publication Newspim says that the S25 Edge sold only 1.31 million units as of August, compared to 8.28 million Galaxy S25 and 12.18 million S25 Ultra units. So, yeah, obviously, the Galaxies have done well otherwise. The 2026 lineup is now said to include the Galaxy S26, the S26 Plus, and the S26 Ultra.
Are you sure they weren't just measuring the height? Because then the thinner one wouldn't be as high. It'd be the same number.
I got to say, this does not portend well for the iPhone Air, does it? This could be a
Well,
the future Apple's
that's
looking
kind of
at.
that was kind of where I was going with this, Allison. Is like, at what point is so thin just
Too thin.
not something
Unnecessary.
that somebody cares about?
Oh, come on. No, this is because Motorola just announced the X70 Air this week, which is thinner than the iPhone Air or the S26 Edge. And so
I see.
Samsung's just throwing in the towel. They're like, we can't get any thinner.
We're
thing
not
with
thin
Samsung,
enough.
though. Their Edge is a lesser phone than the S25. It's like you get less for it. It's like and it's precipitatively less. So like I want to pay darn near as much to have a thin phone that I still don't really know who asked for these paper thin phones. I don't know who that market is for. Although people with the iPhone Air, they tend to love it.
Yeah. We don't know how well that's going to sell, but it's such an odd product because it's not just thinner, it's bigger. Wait, what? Why?
Because it's a
would
larger screen.
It's a larger screen. It's a larger phone than the 17. It's a very odd product. We'll see.
Analysts suggest sales of the iPhone Air are lagging behind the other models. That's all we know so far. Sorry, Rob.
Right. In an effort to confuse seemingly everyone, Apple has changed the name of Apple TV Plus to that's the company's streaming service. They changed it to just Apple TV. And this is confusing because the name of Apple TV set-top streaming box is also Apple TV, as is the name of the app you install to watch stuff on Apple TV devices that aren't named Apple TV. At the end of the day, you should still be able to watch Apple TV on Apple TV or in Apple TV if you don't have an Apple TV.
Yeah, like what's confusing about that?
What if you have an Apple TV subscription? Are you watching Apple TV on Apple TV still?
That was exactly.
What if you don't have a
Tom
subscription?
and we're talking about this on DTNS the other day. It's like Apple TV is a hardware product, but now it's also a software product that is not named differently than the hardware product.
And a service.
I don't disagree with any of this, but I have caught myself and others referring to Apple TV Plus as Apple TV. And I was watching Severance on Apple TV, and then I will catch myself and like, I mean Apple TV Plus, but I think that's why they said they were on the podcast saying we changed it because everybody just kept calling it Apple TV anyway.
And ultimately, it actually might just be more beneficial because you can always add a suffix, right? The Apple TV app or the Apple
TV 4K is technically the name of the device.
But the Apple TV app is where you can watch something like that's on Paramount. That's not Apple TV.
You can watch Apple TV on the Apple TV app too.
Right.
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
confusing
most
about
of
that,
the things that I watch on my Apple TV are from Plex. It's
the idea
not
is they just-
Apple, specific content.
I think the idea is just to see. I mean, it's not unlike Microsoft and Xbox. Xbox is just entertainment gaming.
I think they should drop the TV part too.
You just call it Apple.
It's Apple.
I'm watching on Apple.
I'm watching Apple on an Apple.
You get
We may
it,
be the
right?
only people who cared about the distinction, It
Well,
might be
that's
the
what I'm saying.
normal
Like
people.
ultimately, whatever the consumer associates with Apple TV, they think of the shows, and that's kind of what you want, right? You can always upgrade the hardware and you can always sell them, but you have multiple ways of watching it. So
I am still completely confused by the fact that on Apple TV I can watch Paramount, for which I pay a subscription. But if I launch the Paramount Plus app, I can't watch it. It says I need a subscription, which I have.
You can actually link your Apple TV subscription to the app now, but it doesn't make it easy to do. No. Like it's not obvious how to do it.
No, it works fine through Apple TV.
No, I'm saying
app.
you can actually log into the Paramount app with your Apple TV subscription to Paramount. But you have to go look up how to do it online.
They make you jump through hoops because they would rather get the money directly as compared to.
Well, and that's fine with me. I don't need to launch another app, but I just find it ironic that I think it's on Paramount.
TV,
but I got to remember not to launch Paramount because I won't be able to get it that way.
Right.
I'm also just excited that, just one company said, you know what, maybe we don't call it Plus.
Yeah.
no
Start
super
ESPN Plus is no longer ESPN Plus.
Right.
So
people are sort of like, oh, it all sounds the same.
Plus is on the ropes.
What about
on
Max?
the
Max
ropes,
is still here, though, right? We still like Max?
HBO Max, not just Max on its own. That one's gone.
I liked HBO.
It is?
Though.
Yeah, it's
Isn't it?
back
I thought
to
it went the other
Max,
way.
Max is no longer. Max is now HBO Max again. It was
Oh, it
HBO
is?
Max, then it
I
became
didn't
Max,
know
and
it
now it's
flipped back.
HBO
Okay,
Max.
so it
again.
is gone. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
They don't know what's going on over there. Well, those are
That
3
clear.
top stories that caught our eye this week, but there's more. Pinterest added new feed controls, letting users limit how much AI-generated content appears in their recommendations, following backlash over what is known as, by some people, AI slop, overtaking the platform. Users can now adjust Gen AI visibility by category, like fashion, beauty, or home decor, and send feedback back to Pinterest on unwanted AI-generated images. The company also plans to make its AI modified labels more prominent and expand category options. The new controls launch first on web and Android, with iOS support rolling out soon. I thought this would be a good jumping off point for everybody, because the whole idea of AI slop, whether you're on Pinterest quite often, which I'm not, or you aren't, Pinterest is a great example of, this is like aspirational stuff. You know, it's like my Pinterest board would, have a living room that I could never afford. And maybe that's, real stuff that I could buy. Maybe it's AI generated, but, it's a mood board type thing. But where do we find AI slop to be more dangerous?
One of the things I found, there's a company called Kurzgesagt. I'm not exactly how to pronounce it, but it's an organization that hires real humans to do actual research studies. And one of the things they were studying was brown dwarf stars. And they were doing AI-assisted research to find videos about brown dwarf stars. And what they found was tons of videos getting hundreds of thousands of views, which were all entirely AI generated. And what they discovered was basically it was the machine feeding the machine, because they were searching for brown dwarf stars. They were getting these AI generated videos, which were generating AI responses. Obviously, hundreds of thousands of people don't watch dwarf star videos, but they were basically, it's just feeding itself. And that particular topic, probably lots of other topics, maybe more mainstream topics, it's just eating itself and feeding itself, and it's exponentially expanding. And it's a very interesting way they portray this in the videos. It's kind of long, but about a third of the way in, it gets into the dwarf star part. So I don't know.
I mean, for me, I don't know if it's the biggest danger, but one of the biggest inconveniences is just sort of clogs up your feed. Like if you're looking for a topic on YouTube or something, you're gonna have to sift through a lot more of
if you're
these
looking
videos.
for something that's entertaining, like what's the harm, right, in AI? But if you're looking for something very specific, again, like, if I'm on Pinterest trying to figure out like what kind of sink I need to install in my kitchen, that could be just clogging up the whole situation.
I very rarely use Pinterest, but we're getting into the time of the year when I do. We use it for like making gift lists for the holiday.
Yeah, you mentioned that last
year. The problem for me is that if I'm actually looking around and stuff on Pinterest, like, wait, is that an actual lightsaber? Is that real? You can't tell anymore. They look real. Okay, well, I'd like to buy this lightsaber. Or, wait a minute. Did they come out with an Osmo Pocket 17? Did they skip like the last 11 of them? I don't know what this is. Is this real or not? So I can see a platform like Pinterest being literally a test bed for all the AI stuff that people want to try to see if they can make people think is real or not. I would imagine there are folks who are doing this stuff in a completely non-nefarious way. They're just, this is a cool thing that I made that looks like something that's real. Let's put it on Pinterest and see if people like it.
Right. But at the same time, the platform is like, there is too much stuff that now is confusing people. And people, I think the AI slop, term, to use that, is something that people are very suspicious about.
It just it clogs up the feed of what you normally look at. Like I used to look for vintage tech magazines or whatever. And now I've seen stuff that might seem like it's real, but if you take a closer look, it seems all it looks like a version.
On what platform are you finding
Pinterest.
On Pinterest,
And so
okay.
when you pull it up on Pinterest, it's an AI massaged version of it. Like it just looks very odd, like very plasticky.
And so now you could go in and say in the magazine category or whatever category that is, reduce the AI stuff so it kicks out all the AI.
yeah, like it
generated
just
stuff.
for in my experience, it just adds more junk. It's like having junk mail in your mail. You just want the stuff you need, not the extra flyers.
This is a great idea, I think, to put it in the hands of users to be able to dial that scale up and down, right? When I'm just purely being entertained, maybe a more AI slop. I mean, I'll sit there and watch Tom make those crazy Sora videos all day long.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's
But
not
I
like
keep them
it's
on
not like
Sora.
AI isn't fun.
I
It
don't.
just-
I
it just
don't take
depends.
those videos and put them very many other places. And if I do, I make it very clear. And I think the only place I've taken them outside of Sora, honestly, is on Substack. In my Substack, I made a trailer for my book excerpt, and I'm like, this is an AI-made trailer for the book excerpt to help you imagine what's going on. But otherwise, I don't take them out. I can only think of one Sora-generated video I've seen on Instagram. It was from Kevin Rose, as a matter of fact. And he was saying, I made this on Sora. He wasn't trying to fool anybody.
It was the raccoon. thing.
Yeah. But I haven't
which was
seen...
funny. Yes.
I haven't run into AI slop in my daily life very much. Maybe I just, need to be on Pinterest more often, apparently.
Well,
Pinterest. I mean, it's
I
a
was
lot
really-
over YouTube. I'm sorry.
I was really sad when I like following Neil deGrasse Tyson and other astronomers and astrophysicists, and there was a video by Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about how the reason we don't remember anything from 3 years old back, and it was this very detailed, maybe minute-long video of him explaining some of the neurological things that happen, and I hit that repost button, and then I read in the description, this is AI generated and it's not Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. We need to get used to that.
I shouldn't get my news from TikTok, but I follow a lot of
Well, I
political
mean-
things too, and I do get my news from there. So
and I
that's-
think Allison, the point you're making is the big one. It's fun to have fun. It's like AI is
gotta
fun.
know you're having
you can
fun.
you can like I'll be on a balloon with a hippopotamus, or in 5 seconds.
The balloon is a hippopotamus.
and it'll look great, but at what point, and that's sort of like fantastical, and that's sort of one category. But when it turns into like, oh, wait a second, I just like retweeted something that wasn't real, but I thought it was. I was really sure that it was. That's where I get kind of squirrely.
I
Weird
kind of
and
liken
rush-
this to that point where you start actually reading the labels on the food you buy instead of just going by what was on the
it's making us
packaging.
have to be smarter and pay attention, Roger. That's terrible.
It's added
gotta
a
pay
category that we have to pay attention to. There's another category, but we used to just consider a photo to be gospel, and then we learned over time that photos could be airbrushed, and then Photoshop came along, and we developed a vocabulary to understand when a photo is reliable and when it's not. We're going to have to do that with video now too.
Groucho Marx, from a movie from way back, one of the things he says to his wife is like, who you want to believe, me or your lying eyes? And that just takes a whole new meaning today, because you really cannot believe what you're looking at. I saw just watching the news, and it was Mitch McConnell's, like tripping and falling. It's like, is that real, or is that something that actually really happened? And it was not a big deal. You just got back up and walked on and kept going. But it's like, but you couldn't tell. Was that a real thing?
Yeah, you're
Or was
always
it-
second guessing
Is
yourself.
that fake? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have. Nobody wants to do this, and maybe I'm yelling at a cloud, but you have to consider your sources. You have to go on an information diet. You can't say, but I like getting my news from TikTok. You really do. And I don't mean to target
Yes,
you,
I
Allison,
can.
but,
I shouldn't, but I can.
you have to. If you want to avoid being fooled, you have to start with the source. Is this coming from a source I trust? And every once in a while, that source is going to get fooled, but it'll get fooled less often.
Let me tell you about dwarf stars.
Well, that's the other thing. I wonder how much in that was wrong. It's hard to
Apparently-
say, right? But
I forget whether
I know
they
it was
said
all
or not.
generated, but maybe some of
Yeah.
it was actually accurate. I don't know.
Yeah. You talk about seeing it in your real life. I took a video I made of Steve saying really nice things about me that I created in Sora, which I'm sure he totally would say, but he didn't. Of course. And I posted it on Facebook, and I thought I made it clear. I said something like, Steve tells me how awesome I am, or is this AI?
Yeah.
And a bunch of my family members are like, oh, you guys look so good. Oh, it's so nice to see
Well, because
you.
people
Yeah.
don't.
And they're like, bunch of
We're not
hearts.
They
there
pay
yet.
half
Yeah.
attention.
It's too new. People don't know to expect that yet.
Right.
Yeah,
But
and I didn't mean to.
In 2 years, you're going to post
gaslight
an actual video of Steve saying that, and they're going to go, "Oh, this is AI."
Not true. Yeah. Yeah. Sad.
But he meant it either way.
He did.
He
I'm
meant
sure he
it.
did.
Yeah. AI or not. Well, Windows 10 officially went out of support on Tuesday, October 14th. Oh my goodness, was this a long time coming? Tom, what does this actually mean for folks still using Windows 10?
Yes, your PC will not explode. Maybe the Penguin on top of it will, but not the PC itself. It just won't get any more updates. So you have options, and you weren't getting feature updates anyway, but you won't get any security updates, and that's a concern. So if you would like to not be insecure, you can do what Microsoft would like you to do, which is upgrade to Windows 11. And if you say, but my machine says I can't upgrade to Windows 11, Microsoft says, no problem. You can buy a new PC that does. So if that's an option for you, then great. Now you're on your way. However, if you're someone who says, I can't or don't want to upgrade to Windows 11 and I want to keep my machine, you can enroll in what are called extended security updates for Windows 10. Those will be provided for a year until October 13th, 2026. So we'll be having this conversation again in a year. You can get those for free if you agree to use Microsoft Cloud backups, or if you have 1,000 Microsoft rewards points, or if you have $30. Any one of those will get you free extended security updates through October 13th, 2026. Those are the realities of the situation if you want to keep using Windows 10. But I thought we should go around the horn and discuss what we think, whether we're Windows users and we're like, no, I don't think I would want to use Windows 10, or I do want to use Windows 10. What do you think, Rob? Because I know you're a Windows user.
So I'm a Windows user. I have a laptop probably somewhere behind me. I have a PC on the other side of the monitor that I'm pointing at, and they both run Windows 10. Neither is capable of being upgraded to Windows 11, and they won't be. Now, I do have a Microsoft account on them, so I'll get the updates for at least another year. But I'll be honest, I have no intention on just, I can't use this a year from now, so I want to go get something new. They'll probably get, Chrome Flex on it or something like that. I will make sure that I'm running something that is getting updated in some form or fashion. But the problem that Microsoft is running into is the problem that phone manufacturers are now running into, is that about 10, 12 years ago, PCs kind of topped out. It's like, if the PC you got 10 years ago was really fast running, Edge, it probably is still pretty fast running Edge today if it's a clean PC and you haven't run out of memory and you don't have viruses and stuff on it. It does what it does. And if you're really only using these older PCs to, browse the web, they are great for that. And I just don't see Microsoft convincing enough people to get off of these things in the next year. I just don't see that happening. It's because why would I do it? In fact, I would imagine that a lot of people who have Windows 10 machines still don't even realize that they need to do something. They're just unaware of it generally, even though they get the messages that are popping up. They're just generally unaware of it. But I don't see the need to upgrade like Microsoft wants people to upgrade. It's just not there yet.
It's weird because I'm on both sides of the fence. When my dad was still here, I was seriously considering just stumping up the $30 because his machine would not support Windows 11, but it was fast enough. And it did everything he needed to do. And more importantly, he finally understood the layout of the thing. And, he was in his late 80s. I don't think it was a really good use of his time to kind of refigure out the layout or tweak Windows 11 so it was exactly the same. So $30 seemed like a minor irritant.
It does seem kind of convoluted. As Tom explained, it's like, okay, you got Windows 10. you've got till October 13th, 2026. However, you have to do certain things. You have to agree to use cloud backups. You have to use Microsoft rewards points. Okay.
I mean,
or
would you
pay
rather them
$30.
would you rather them give you fewer options to upgrade?
No,
I mean,
I'm just saying. I think that this could be something that somebody would look at and say, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I just want my computer to work.
Then pay the
really
$30. That's the easy thing.
What concerns me, I'm not a Windows user, but I care about the internet and the safety of people. And if this was Mac OS, I would be saying the exact same thing, is having unsupported devices on the network is a danger to us all. And I just looked at statcounter.com to pull the Windows versions market share worldwide. As of September, let me get the exact number, 40.5% of Windows PCs are running Windows 10. So if they don't do a good job
That
communicating
seems high, but
well,
there's a lot of them.
No,
I know that.
I've seen similar numbers. I mean, it's pretty
if you have
high.
other sources, I'd be definitely willing to concede the point. But it's not a small number. It's a very, very large
there's
number.
hundreds of millions, right?
And
Right.
Sure. There we go. That's a good way of putting it. But that's a danger to us all if these people don't pony up the $30. And what I'm worried about is I was listening to a couple of guys who should know better on the internet on their podcast. And I'm not going to call them out by name, but they were saying, support is ending, but it's fine. Your PC is going to be fine. Nothing's going to go wrong. It's not going to explode. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, I just said it won't explode. Are you talking about me?
Yeah. Well, actually, you said the penguin on top might not explode, but the good answer is to go to Linux with that penguin before it explodes. But it bothers me that there's people out there saying it'll be fine and thinking it'll be fine. It's not going to be fine. If they're not getting security updates, this is a disaster.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine in the sense of don't panic if you can't upgrade to Windows
Right,
11.
like
your machine won't stop working.
It's not gonna,
but
like,
it's not
burst into
fine in the sense of
flames.
you need to do something to keep it secure. On the other side, I want to go back to what Rob was saying earlier, because I think it's important to note this is the longest mainstream support Microsoft has ever provided for a Windows device or a Windows operating system since Windows 3.0. Which basically didn't really ever have an end date. It just kind of ended support variously for versions in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Right.
But Windows 95 only had 5 years of support. Windows 98 had 4 years of support.
Windows XP definitely had more than that.
7.
XP had 8 years of
8
support.
years.
Yeah.
Vista had 5. Windows 7 had 6. Windows 8 had 6. Windows 10 has been around for 10 years. And I say that because I think you should give Microsoft some credit. Like, they're not cutting off Windows 10 early. Right. It's a different situation now where more people are continuing to use the older operating system than ever have before.
And this kind of goes back to what Rob said. It's like the machines have sort of plateaued in that you can do a majority of the work, whether it's like office productivity, whether it's web surfing. My dad was using a machine that was put out in 2014 and it was working fine. Like, it still works fine. So for a majority of people who do that, for them, it's just like, well, it's like my car. It seems to run fine. Why would I need a new car? That's just extra cost. And I think there unless there's a feature of which, Copilot might have been one of them, that like, wow, I really want that because that would make my life infinitely better or more productive or whatever, or I'm missing out, then people would upgrade. But for a lot of folks, it's like, it's a shrug.
Is there something else that Microsoft could do? I mean, I've been rolling around in my head, what possible solutions are there to this?
Yeah.
I mean, could they say you have to pay $30 or use this cloud
They could continue to
thing
support it.
and then shut it down?
They will probably keep bumping that. They'll probably be kicking this can down the road because it's not just individual users. I'm sure there's a lot of small to medium businesses.
Oh, the businesses are going to pay up.
Yeah, businesses
security updates.
No. Some businesses will pay up. I have worked for
Rob. Tell me if this sounds like something that is likely to be true. There is a meeting somewhere where someone's like, we can't not support these, and someone else says, but we don't want to encourage people to keep them if they can move on. And you get a compromise solution like this, which is like, all right, we'll offer extended support for a year. year, and then we'll see where we are, and we might have to renew it for another year, and we'll make some people pay for it, but we'll give people a free option, and you get this decision by committee.
I'm, I don't have any inside knowledge on this, so this
No,
is
of course.
completely inside of my head. But I would imagine that conversation has already happened. They probably already have the
That's what I
next
mean.
update that they're going to release for Windows 10. And what I would imagine will happen is that something really, really bad will happen. Like there's a virus, there's something out there that is like really getting people who are still on Windows 10. And Windows is going to say, okay, we have come up with this emergency patch that we've been working on for the last year, and we're going to give it to you. But this is it. There's nothing coming after this. Because you asked the question, what are they? What can they do? They're doing what they can do. I think that the steps that Microsoft is going through is actually fine. They're continuing to put this stuff out, even though they said they wouldn't. The release date has slipped a couple of times. I think Microsoft is doing what Microsoft can do here because people are just not going to upgrade, and they cannot help that.
I will say there's one thing that Microsoft really doesn't do that Apple does and Google does very well, and that's migrate my old machine, all my data, my user accounts, all of that over to a new machine. It is Byzantine compared to what you can do with Mac OS, what you can even do with Android. There is a very user-friendly way to do it. With Windows, it's still like jumping through hoops to get that done and to do it as well so you have all the stuff you were using working.
Yeah, I won't argue the point. It's not that bad. The problem here is that you can't upgrade, that you can't migrate. There is no way to do it. So
They need to make it easier for people.
No, but I mean just for machine to machine.
They need to loosen up on the Windows 11 upgrade requirements. I think that would help them a lot too, but they don't want to do that either.
So, folks, if you'd like a recap of the week's tech headlines with insights on how technology affects and disaffects African Americans, check out the Tech John, where host Robb Dunewood, that's me, Stephanie Humphrey, and Terrence Gaze dive into the top tech stories of the week, delivered from points of view you don't always hear in mainstream media. New episodes land Tuesday afternoons. Find it wherever you get your podcast, or head over to the Tech John. That's the Tech JAWN.com.
All right, Allison, you wrote a blog post recently about why a USB cable tester and multimeter might be something that everybody should have, even if they don't realize it yet. So let's talk about it.
Well, I like to start with the problem to be solved. And the problem that I had was I have a Kindle Voyage, and it's old, and I've replaced it by now. But I was looking up a word on it, the word verisimilitude. I pressed and held on it,
that's a good word.
It never showed me the definition. It simply stopped working at that instant in time. So since it's e-ink, this thing is like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. It's been sitting in my drawer, just saying verisimilitude and staring at me. And I wrote a blog post about how I replaced it and what I replaced it with and everything. But then Tom and my mutual friend Kaylee hates to see old technology ever retired. She likes to just keep things working. And she said, maybe you could just replace the battery in it. And that got me to thinking, well, what could I do to try to figure out if the battery was functioning or not? And one of the things, there's a bunch of different tricks to wake up an old or a stuck Kindle, and one of the things she just suggested was that I plug it into my Mac and see whether it mounts as a USB drive. And I thought, okay, that sounds fun. So I plugged it into my Mac, and it didn't show up. And then I thought, wait a minute, what if that's not a data cable? What if it's a USB cable that only transmits power? So I pulled out my trusty Treedix, Treedix, Treedix USB tester, and it's a really cool device. You plug a USB cable into power on one side, or it has a AAA or AA battery, and then you put both ends of the cable into the other sides of this device, and it tells you in super simple English words, it shows you a graphic that just says, this is only power transmission, is what this one came back. It had the options for power delivery 3.0 and 3.1, but those had little red X's next to them. Green light for power transmission, and all of the data transmission options, they were all red X's. So we knew that that was the wrong cable. So I fished around and grabbed all of the, a bunch of cables that I had hanging under my desk, and I started plugging them in to try to find one that was actually provided data transmission. And by the way, if you're an Apple user, the cables they give you, they don't transmit data. They're usually power only. Eventually find a micro USB cable that worked with this, that would transmit data, but the Kindle still didn't work. So that's when things got dicier. She said I wasn't allowed to give up. I needed to open it up, and she suggested just reseating the battery on it. And I thought, okay, well, that sounded fun because this thing's dead anyway. If I break it, it's still dead. It's more dead.
We're doing Kindle surgery at this point.
Yeah. I mean, that's fun, right? I'm trepidatious when something's functioning to take it apart, but I have no qualms when it's already dead. So we Steve helped me a bunch on this. We took it up. Oh, I know. One of the ideas I had at this point was, well, let's find out whether the battery's really charging, because a little amber light comes on, but the amber light never goes off. And so I wanted to try to figure out, is it the battery or is it something else? So that's where we brought in a second device. This is the Maker Fire USB multimeter. And it's kind of like the other device, but you put it in line to a power source. So I had a little battery, and then I plugged that into the multimeter, and then from the battery into the Kindle. And it shows you a lot of different information on this little bitty screen. It's like a 1-inch diagonal screen, but it's bright and colorful and really easy to read. And what we did was we charged it watching how many milliamp hours it thought it had put into this battery, or into the battery on the Kindle. So you can see how much power it's drawing. You can see amps and volts, and obviously calculates watts from that. But you can see how many milliamp hours it thinks it's put in. And the Kindle takes 1,300 milliamp hours, and I think it was at like 2,700 when we finally stopped the test. So clearly power was being drawn, but it wasn't ending up in the battery. We're not quite sure where it went. Seems like it should go to heat.
Alternate
It's
universe.
that was going to be my first question. Like, who got the battery?
Yeah.
Who got the battery?
Because it was running at like a 0.5 amp. So we think it was just so low that it just didn't generate any heat.
It wasn't sticking.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool how those two different devices, and I think they're real fun. One of them's like $25 and one was 42, something like that. There's links in the show notes. Really, really nice devices. Both have the information that you need, and it's clearly displayed. Oh, it looks like it's $50 and $24. So anyway, those are both really cool. But then it was time to see what we could do. We wanted to take the Kindle apart to look at the battery. Kaylee said, no, now you need to reseat the battery to see if that's the problem. So we took it apart and pried up the little battery connector and shoved it back down, ran another battery test. And after it had put in like 300 milliamp hours, we tried waking the thing up with the 40-second dance you do with the power cable, and it still didn't come up. So then, she said, now you need to use a multimeter to try to measure the power across the connector to see whether to try diagnose the battery further. And I put a picture in my blog post of Steve's multimeter probe, which is really tiny. And the tip of that probe is the size of 3 of the pins on the connector. So we were unable to diagnose anything more about the battery.
You would have shorted it out if it wasn't already shorted out. Yeah.
Right. Would have shorted it out, and we didn't know which pins to tap on anyway. There were like 16 pins there, so we didn't know what we were doing. So we tore it apart. And the really cool part is, I am holding up in front of the live audience, but it's also in the notes, is I now have the Kindle that I've been showing on screen is actually just the display. There's nothing else to this.
It's so thin.
Yeah, it is really thin.
I mean, that's cray-cray.
I love that you could see the words from behind, too.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do with this now,
because you're seeing the other side of
you want to read stuff backwards.
Well, the e-ink balls are
hard to
white on
see
one
it.
side, black on the other. So on the other side, you're just seeing the reverse image, right? That's crazy.
and you can see verisimilitude in white on black. So what I want to do, what I'm going to do is get one of those plexiglass picture frame things where they give you 2 pieces of plexiglass and you screw them together and have it be like an art piece.
Yeah. I love that.
So it won't be a Kindle, but it'll have the verisimilitude of being one.
It will, if that's what the word. See, I never could look up the word because it never.
You'll never know.
You'll never know. You'll never be able to take that word and punch it independently. No, that's really cool. I've always wanted to like use a lot of like leftover e-readers or whatever tablets and just put them in different spots of the house. Like, oh look, now this is my to-do calendar, or look, this is just a way to, while away the time while I'm sitting in the bathroom or something. Just
we did want to take the glass off the back, but we don't know what's holding those little balls of e-ink in place. And we're afraid if we
because
pulled
they
this
need
off,
to be
they
free
would-
to move back.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
forth.
it's so thin already. I'm
It's
like
enough?
just
Those
you
little
know,
elves
yeah,
could
Might
escape.
be enough.
yeah, those are going to escape, and your dog's going to.
The elves are gonna escape. It's gonna be a whole thing with Kepler.
It'd be so sad if verisimilitude was not still highlighted. So
Oh, that could be the
Yeah,
name of your next dog.
there you go.
Verisimilitude.
Well, my next thing I'm going to take apart is we have a HomePod Mini that has a mind of its own. It just starts playing things randomly, and
That's the elves.
My neighbor yesterday, when I was on my dog walk, we said our dogs are saying hello. She's like, right before I left, I have that Amazon device, and it has a female voice. But when I left, I said to my dog, "Are you ready to go for a walk?" And it said, "I am an AI. I can't go for a walk." But it was a male voice. Do you think I should unplug it and get rid of it?
what did you say?
I mean, in
I
all
said,
honesty,
you know what?
it's like I can see where someone's like, this is weird.
I said, "You need to call a priest." No, I said it's probably a glitch. And sometimes when there's a firmware update, it'll change the defaults. So maybe you got an update. I was thinking she might have gotten Plus, the new improved version of the voice
if it was an
assistant.
Amazon device. Okay.
Yeah, because it's an Amazon thing. But she was like, "I don't know. I think I'm just going to get rid of it." I'm like, what?
Not the worst idea either.
Well, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on DTNS Live, but I will today. Many years ago, my Sonos One, I have two of them, but one of them in my old apartment was in the bathroom because I like to listen to like podcasts, like while showering or whatever. And one day I realized that an army of ants were now living inside the speaker.
Oh.
They
And
really
when I
liked your
say
podcast
army of
taste.
ants, I mean like 500 ants. Once I finally figured out what was going on, I put it outside, and it took like weeks for the ants to finally just be like, "Oh, okay, we
To
don't live in
vacate.
here anymore." Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you keep it?
Yeah, it's in my bedroom right
You know,
now.
you could just vacuum them out too.
The ants tried to steal your speaker, basically, and you foiled their plan.
I mean, ants are smart.
Yeah.
Ants are smart. Not gonna lie.
Speaking of music and podcasts,
Yeah, exactly. Let's check out the mailbag.
Or
Or
Rob.
Sigma
Or-
D?
Or
Rob, you have Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Sorry. Oh my God, I went right past you, Rob. Okay. Rob, all right. So Netflix is trying to steal some of YouTube's market share by bringing video podcasts to the platform. What is going on here?
So Netflix is expanding into video podcasts, and they're partnering with Spotify's podcast studio and The Ringer. This initiative is launching in the U.S. in 2026 and then globally. And it's going to feature 16 series, including the Bill Simmons podcast and The Ringer sports shows. This offers a new platform for creators through these podcasts, and it won't be fully available. These shows won't be fully available to YouTube. So that's the news part of it. What I really wanted to get into was the conversation of it, because I know that you're not supposed to go into comments on the internet. I know that's a bad thing, but I had to. It was doing research. People are like, "Oh, that's cool," or "This is the most horrible thing ever." And of course, those are the comments that are the most interesting. So there's a lot of folks who are just not down with this, but I wanted to get you guys' thought on this. It's like, it's only 16 shows, but if we know how Netflix rolls, it will not be 16 shows for long. It's like they're either going to figure out that this thing works or doesn't work, and if it works, they're going to go full bore and they're going to try to be the number one place on the internet for podcasts. So I just want to, what do you guys feel about this? Do you think this is a good move for Netflix?
I think it's funny because this is what's wrong with what they call podcasting, right? An RSS feed is podcasting, and that's available on all of your devices. So then YouTube took it over, and now YouTube's getting eaten by Netflix. I think it's fun to watch.
I could see that. I like the fact that this shows more and more that podcast is a method by which shows are delivered. And we might have to come up with another word for that because people tend to use podcasts to mean all kinds of things. But these are just shows. This is Spotify saying Spotify wants to steal some steps from YouTube. And I think that's what's really driving this. Is Spotify is like, we want people making video on our platform. We want to help people monetize their video on our platform. We want to steal people away from YouTube. And Netflix is just benefiting by saying, hey, those are some pretty good TV shows you got there. We'd love to try them on our platform. And if they work, we'll buy more.
One of the things that I thought about this is Spotify is kind of living dangerously here because they really do want to compete with YouTube on video. So if you're giving some of your best stuff to Netflix technically is a competitor, not in this particular case, but Netflix is a big streaming platform. And if and this works for Netflix is not going to say we're only going to deal with Spotify. They will want every podcast on the planet on their platform if people are consuming and keeping those subscription prices high. So I was kind of shocked that Spotify would work out this deal if Spotify truly is trying to become a player in video, or is it more of Spotify is just a company and is trying to make as much money as possible and say, hey, we can sell this stuff to Netflix. That's good for our bottom line. I'm not sure what to think about that.
It reminds me a little bit of networks selling TV shows to Netflix in the earliest days because they didn't run a streaming service. Or even if they did, CBS was putting Star Trek on every platform because they could make more money off it, and it didn't hurt their streaming numbers. Spotify may look at this and say, this is guaranteed money if it works. We will continue to be the production arm of Netflix, but also have these, let's do non-exclusive so you can also get them on Spotify. People come to Spotify for music and also get podcasts. People come to Netflix for watching shows and also get podcasts. Like, everybody wins. It could work out for everybody involved and be very similar to what happens now, where NBC will make a show, but it'll run on Netflix. Sony will make a show and it'll run on Netflix. Sometimes NBC will make a show and it stays on Peacock. So it's all being in multiple businesses, and that's not a bad idea for Spotify. Probably.
I think the sports angle of this also is very important. If you're not into sports, then this just isn't for you. But if you are, Netflix kind of owning certain sports franchises. And when I say franchises, I don't mean teams necessarily, but
no, like Bill Simmons, right? Yeah,
exactly. That is, if you get people to get, to become, habitually coming to your platform to listen to, their favorite people talk about the game. I think that's very important.
Yeah, the Ringer and Bill Simmons going to Netflix is akin to when Howard Stern went to Sirius XM, or just I guess it was just XM when he first went. I can't remember if it was Sirius or XM, but they're one company now. But it's kind of like that, and people are like, that's interesting. And it ended up being, I don't know how many years, a decade and a half or more that he was there, but it was very lucrative for a lot of people involved in that. And I think that this is what is happening here. In fact, I was listening to Scott Galloway, who had some very interesting comments on this. And one of the things that he said was that, when you look at these podcasts, and I think that when you're thinking about podcast as what a podcast technically was when the term first came out, that's not what these are. These are shows. And, sometimes they're delivered through RSS. Sometimes they're delivered on Spotify. Sometimes they're delivered on YouTube or wherever else. But these are just shows. These are just shows. And I think if we think of it like that, as long as I've been podcasting, I'm not what you would call a podcast purist. I don't care if it's RSS delivered. I care, did you watch it? Did you consume the content that I created? And if you look at it through that lens, these are just shows. And these type of shows are 70 to 80%, of the production value that you get from an actual TV show, with only maybe 10% of the cost. So from a Netflix standpoint, and this is not me, this is Scott Galloway. He's saying that, Netflix is basically throwing money at this. They want to win by having the most content on the planet on their platform, and by having as much content as they possibly can have on the platform, they ultimately can drive the cost of that content down, and they're able to edge out the others. So this kind of makes sense to me. And I like I said, I don't know if it's a good move or a bad move, but it is definitely a move. And if it works for Netflix, we will see far more than 16 podcasts on that platform in a not too distant future, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think they'll want every podcast on the planet. They'll still be selective. They'll want them to be, a fit for their extended audience and high production value and all of that. so people aren't going, why is this on Netflix? But there's enough shows that are like that they will add them. And if it works for Netflix, I wonder if people start coming to Spotify and saying, hey, you got anything for HBO Max? You got anything for Paramount Plus? Like it could start a bidding war with Spotify amongst all the different platforms to be like, we want this show, we want that show. Because most of these are sports, but there's two true crime, and then there's like 4 lifestyle shows in there as well. So we're trying different topics too.
Yeah, I think that any type of not sitcom, but any type of talk show to where it is talking heads, late night TV type shows, those shows will do well in this type of medium because number one, they're sticky, people watch them, and they really don't cost a lot to make compared to making a CSI or making making Hawaii Five-0 or what have you.
And CSI, I mean, the list goes on.
I do enjoy watching people like Amy Poehler now has a podcast called The Good Hang. And when she tells people she has a podcast, people are like, oh, you have a podcast? It's like, what's going on here? Are we cool kids now?
She doesn't even have to explain what it is or anything.
I know. Times have changed.
All right, Rob, let's check out the mailbag today.
Paul writes in, this past Saturday, I spotted the barbecue and tech food truck. I pulled over and parked and introduced myself to Chris Ashley. He was surprised that a DTNS patron stopped by. I was happy to meet a DTNS contributor in the wild in my backyard. Awesome barbecue. I tried the smoked brisket, and I can tell you,
so fun.
Brisket is excellent. It arguably is the best brisket I've ever had. It's
Now,
had to fly all the way across
you
the
have
country to get that
tried the
brisket.
food truck, Rob.
Say that again.
You've tried the food truck.
I've tried his food in his house.
Okay.
So,
I've tried his food in his house. I had to
Okay.
fly across the country to get it.
Nobody ever invited
That's
me
right,
to
yeah.
Chris Ashley's house.
Oh, I wasn't invited, Sarah. Steve and I invited ourselves. Said we're coming out. We want barbecue. We said, all right.
literally, that's how it happens. Allison said, "Hey, we're coming out." So I was like, "Okay, I guess I should come out too." So I made the trip to DC as well.
Oh, well, Paul, thank you so much for letting us know that you loved Chris Ashley's wares. For anybody who's looking, for more interest in barbecue and tech, go no further than barbecueandtech.com.
So fun.
Also, we have talked about AI quite a bit on this show because we just can't get away from it. So why not make it part of your future travel plans? Might be good for you. Chris Christensen has the latest.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. There's something interesting that's happened with AI and travel, the increasing use of AI to plan travel. A new report from Focusrite, which looks at travel technology, shows that 1/3 of U.S. travelers now use AI tools to either plan or experience trips. Not sure what experience trips means exactly, but 37% of travelers say they trust Gen AI's recommendations enough to act on them. I increasingly hear about people who are using AI to plan travel. There are pluses and minuses. Obviously, minuses for those of us who are content creators whose content is being used to feed the engines, but we're getting no traffic. But for consumers, they're finding it easier sometimes to summarize the world of knowledge about what they should do in Paris, for instance, than in spending a lot of time reading. This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
Thank you, Chris Christensen, the Amateur Traveler. As always, remember, if you have thoughts on anything that we talk about on this show, send in your comments to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Of course, if you're a patron and you comment on anything on Patreon, we see those too. So thank you, one and all, for all of your feedback.
In fact, the feedback inspired the art today. Len Peralta, what have you drawn for us?
Yes, for the first time in the many years that I've been on this show, I decided to draw something about the feedback. I've never done that before. And the idea behind this is because DTNS is everywhere. You never know where you're going to run into us. And if you saw Chris's truck, or you see Chris's truck, then you'll also see me, because I created the logo for Barbecue and Tech.
Yay!
So DTNS,
Oh my gosh.
we are everywhere.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
I
That's
did
so
not
cool.
know that. That's fantastic.
So yeah, we're everywhere. We're just infiltrating.
Insidious.
So, Yeah, if you're a DTNS fan and you want to get this image, you can get it at my online store, lenperaltastore.com, where you can also, purchase other stuff or possibly commission me for a holiday card, or go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Len. Back me at the DTNS level, and you'll get this immediately. So check it out, folks. Yes, we are everywhere.
DTNS is everywhere. Look, they're right under the 20.
That's right. There they are.
DTNS right there.
There they are.
Oh, look at us. Allison, Sheridan, also such a pleasure to have you on today. Let folks know where they can keep up with your latest.
Well, as everybody knows, everything good starts with podfeed.com. That's where you can find the NosillaCast, the longest-running Apple-centric podcast, and Chit Chat Across the Pond, and Programming by Stealth with Bart Booth Shots. All the great stuff is at podfeed.com.
During the show, you've been submitting titles over at dtns.showbot.tv, and we've got some pretty good ones for you. Let's start right at the top with Saray TW's My Smartphone Has an Eating Disorder.
Oh, no, it's so thin. Bulk up, smartphone.
Oh, dearest.
I like Stoic
You need
Squirrel's.
calories, smartphone.
Stoic Squirrel's
need some
Apple
calories.
TV on Apple TV on Apple TV.
Makes sense as
Makes
long as you
sense.
don't think about it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Windows 10 now with Insecurity Complex. That's also Saray TW.
JPEG suggested Microsoft supports its Windows, but I don't know if it does.
I mean, it does to a point. And then it doesn't.
Zoe Brings Bacon comes in with Kindle Surgery. And
Ooh,
definitely looks like Allison, that's what you went
Allison definitely did. I mean, when you showed that to me, I was like, it's better. It's better thinner.
You can't read, but it's beautiful now.
It's like an iPhone.
It looks cool.
Air.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's my Kindle Air.
Because
That's
it's
what
so
it is.
thin.
See
Yep.
see what we're doing.
Saray
JPEG 84
TW
also- Oh, go ahead.
Saray suggested verisimilitude means to kill an e-ink device.
But it's not killed. It's alive.
Well,
It just got Ozempic.
It's just resting.
Resting Kindle face.
So, Sarah, what did we decide to go with today?
Oh, Rob, it was a fun one, but Saray TW's Windows 10 now with Insecurity Complex is our winner.
Saray.
Oh, that's a good one, Sarah. It's got a good one.
Yes,
That's our
indeed.
winner.
Big thanks to everybody who supports us in all the places, including on YouTube or over there on LinkedIn or on Twitch. We get lots of folks supporting us on Twitch. We had a hype train of bits today. That's a way people can throw some money at us. Hoppa Happiness resubscribed with Prime for the 5th month. Good to see you, Hoppa Happiness. CPOTS 50 back for the 66th month. DJ Lookup followed us. Pack NW Fallstar back for the 23rd month. We got lots of folks supporting us all over the place, including patreon.com/DTNS. If you are a patron, we have a bonus segment for you. Stick around. That is available in Patreon as a live stream or on demand, where Roger does a quiz.
You can watch us live every Thursday. We do it at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is 2000 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Be sure to keep up with Daily Tech Headlines and Daily Tech News Show all week. Plus live weekly Live With It episodes, new hangouts throughout the week, and some bonus content as well. We're doing a lot of new stuff, all right? So you tell us what you think about it, and we'll see you next Thursday.
This episode of DTNS Live was created by the following people. Producer and host Sarah Lane. Producer and host Tom Merritt. Host Robb Dunewood. Producer Roger Chang. Video producer Joe Kuntz. Producer at large Anthony Lemos. Social media producer and moderator Zoe Detterding. Our mods, Beatmaster, W. Scottus1, BioCow, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, aka Gadget Virtuoso, and J.D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Looters. Art by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Bobby Wagner. Our guests this week were Allison Sheridan, Chris Christensen, and thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
This This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right, everybody. It is Thursday, and you know what that means. We're going to play a game.